So welcome everyone who joined this Facebook Live or YouTube Live, wherever you're watching right now. And also welcome those who will join us later on while watching the recording from this event. My name is Karl Skolnieks. I'm head of the University of Latvia Business Incubator, and today I'm joined by Karthik Puvvada from USA. He's a guy who builds products using no-code tools already for several years. And recently he also became a program director for On-Deck No-Code Fellowship. Probably he will also tell about that. So welcome. I will call you KP, as you call yourself everywhere on your personal blog and also on social media. So welcome, KP, to this event.
Thank you so much. Really honored to be here. Whoever is watching on YouTube or Facebook, welcome and I'm excited to be here. A little bit about my story. Karthik touched a little bit about Nocode in public, and it was about the On-Deck program.
Yes. So maybe let's start. Maybe somebody just randomly came on this video, so maybe you can tell what is no-code, what does it mean, and just explain this term no-code.
Sure.
What should people understand with that?
Right. So if you're brand new, here's the way I would define it. So for the longest time, if you have to build something in software, be a mobile app or a web app or a website, an automation, you have to really write code, type in syntax, using all the popular languages like Python or JavaScript or whatever. And this has been the only way you can communicate or you can translate your human commands so the computer understands it, and then it processes it, and then it's the output that you desire. And this has been the only way for a long time. But over time, as you pay attention to the trends, you'll see that there's this thing called abstraction that's happening, where in the beginning we wrote, I think 30, 40 years ago, developers wrote like machine commands. They actually wrote very low-level machine language, which was so cryptic and complicated to read. And over time, the language got better and easier. And finally, to a point where JavaScript, like you can actually, it's definitely as a full-time software developer, you agree that the language is much simpler, so much easier. So no-code is the next abstraction layer on top of this evolution, where you don't even write code. You just either use visual drag and drop mechanism, or you use blocks and complements to talk to the computer to translate what you intend to do. And this way, you can build web apps, you can build mobile apps, you can build automations. And this was not possible until 50 years ago, and now it is possible. So it's such a great opportunity for people who are non-technical or not software developers to now build, whatever they want to build and experiment and learn on software building.
Yeah, I think a lot of people know that you can build like simple web page or landing page using these no-code tools, but actually right now there is tools out there that you can use to even build your mobile app. You can and you can actually make it function like a real product, like it's finished. You can there isn't like just you will press some button and I don't know, you register for some kind of event or form, but you can do all the functions that the real app would do. And yeah, that's quite cool. I don't think that many people already know it, but you have built several wait, something wrong with sound.
Audio issues. people.
Yeah.
Do you have a speaker or a couple speakers from your laptop and a big TV or something? Because I think my voice is reverberating in the room.
Let me check. Maybe we will. But actually, I hear a bit of echo as well, so I don't think it's should come from me.
All right.
So let's try.
Better? Yeah, it's better, I think. Well, people in the audience, can you give us a thumbs up or type in a comment saying it's better?
Just a second. Stop.
Yeah, it looks like,
okay.
It looks like it's better. Oh yeah. See people saying it's got a lot better. Oh.
Okay, so let's try now.
All right. So yeah, as you were saying, I think it used to be just landing pages and simple websites for a while, but now you could do. I mean, so people may recall like Squarespace, Wix, and Weebly. WordPress actually is also no code in a way that they would like simply let you use templates or components and build visually. But now we're in the era where we have Webflow, on which you can build dynamic sites. You can build really cool CMS websites and web apps, and then you have products like tools like Glide. Glideapps.com. Glide lets you build mobile apps by connecting to Google Sheets. So like there's so much that has happened in the last 3-4 years that right now the no-code is the new way to build.
And yeah, speaking about your the products that you created, actually, how you started, how you maybe came around this no-code movement. Did you maybe try to write software before or something? So how did you start?
So I was always a product guy, and for the last 7-8 years of my life, I was working in tech, and I was a product manager. I knew how to think like a developer because I was every day working with developers and testers, but I always struggled with coding. It felt so redundant. It felt so tedious to actually write code to like do the same obvious shit that you do all the day. Like I'm like, why am I writing code over and over again to do the same 5 things I wanted to do? And to me, like the idea to prototype journey in code was definitely longer. So in 2018, I was like, okay, I've been sitting on so many ideas that never really shipped. I never really shipped or brought them into life. And my Notion document at the time had about 50 ideas, and I was getting tired of dwelling and being just being in this analysis paralysis and rather than taking action and building things. So in 2018 October, I dove into indie hackers. I went into Product Hunt. I went on Twitter, and then I noticed that there's these no-code tools that people are using in building quick MVPs. So I decided I'm gonna be a no-code maker, and build something in a weekend, right? In just a few days. So one of the easiest ideas that I had in my Notion document, and I built my first no-code MVP in I think about 4 days. And it was called dothingsdon'tscale.com. So it's just a content site, and it's basically a spin on the popular phrase "do things that don't scale" by Paul Graham. And what I did was I collected a bunch of individual stories and tips and tricks about how to get your first 100 customers, how to get your first 1,000 customers. And there's so much of this content on the internet all around, spread out. And I collected them. I gave all of them a home, like a content hub, and I published it on Product Hunt. And it went viral. It was the number one product of the day on ProductHunt, and it was on Hacker News. It was on the homepage, and so it gave me a lot of confidence that someone like me with no prior software background could take an idea and then spend some time and convert it into a functioning, app that other people can use. So that was my first web app with no code, and then I built 8 after that, and then finally, I've done so many. Actually, I've done so many side projects that never really saw the light. The ones that saw the light went public are like 8, but there's so many other things I did, on my side.
And you're all the time publishing what you are building, right? Because as you call yourself, you're a building public guy. So you build something, then you tweet it, you write the blog about it, and I guess that's, as far as I understood, that's also how you actually landed the job at OnDeck, because when Eric asked for recommendations, everybody said that this is your guy.
Yeah, I think so. I had the thesis that you always have to launch something in iterations, right? And when I arrived at this when I realized, okay, if I wait too long to launch an idea, first of all, I might be too tired by the time the idea is launched, or I may be too focused on the nitty-gritty that I forget the vision to sell the vision. And people may, not care because, if you just randomly show up on a random Thursday and knock on everyone's door and say, I have something to sell, to me, it's just like a cold interruption. Rather than, if you use social media, indie hackers, ProductHunt, and consistently every day give a little nugget of the vision of the story, people warm up to this, right? It's like a reality TV. People will slowly see the journey of the arc. And then they're like, when you finally launch, they're like, oh my God, this is launching, this is live, I can use it now. So my iterative approach to building in public was, I have this Friday mastermind session at 4 p.m. With my my other builders and makers in Atlanta. So my first version, I always show it to them. It's just 10 people. They'll look at it, and they're all builders. So I get some constructive, good feedback. They're not my friends. I mean, they're friends, but they're not gonna just be nice to me. They're gonna be constructive. They're like giving me real, honest feedback. So after I run it by them, that's the 10 people. I then iterate on it, maybe on the weekend, and I show it to my Twitter audience. And at the time, I only would have like 600 people. Now I have 6,000 in my Twitter audience, but I used to have like 500, 600 people. I would show it, I would go live on Twitter, and I would get some signups. And after that, in a week, I would go live on ProductHunt. After that, I would go live on Indie Hackers. So I would create a series of iterative loops that by the time the public, an average person on the internet saw this, I already improved it 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So they're seeing the better version, not the shitty version.
What about that? Sometimes people don't want to show their projects because they are a bit shy, or they are scared that somebody will say, well, this shit, this is so bad, I will not use it. And that afterwards, when they will finish the product, that people will just not use it because they maybe tested when it was not ready. What do you think of this opinion?
That is the real concern that I had as well in the beginning. And I was like, what if people don't care? Or what if people start pooping on this, simply shitting on it because it's a premature idea, right? So I think the way to navigate that is be very thoughtful about where you hang out on the internet. There's places on the internet that are completely toxic, right? If you go on Reddit, there's some subreddits that will roast you on day one. And the thing is, I mean, it's like playing life like a video game in level 10. Why would you want to play the hardest level first? Go to the easy corners, friendly corners, right? And there is a part of Twitter that I'm part of. It's called Maker Twitter, the building public Twitter. And where people are willing to help each other, they're much more kinder. So I usually launch my things there and get some early attention, early momentum, and then maybe go on ProductHunt. I think ProductHunt still is very friendly. Indie Hackers is friendly. I think Hacker News is slightly harsh. I would call it harsher than the rest. So I usually don't launch on Hacker News on day one. I go through all these iterations. I build a bunch of support, and one of my products, I had this idea called Wall of Love, and it was a reminder for myself that I have to always appreciate and cherish the people who put tweets about me or the product, and the supporters, and I gave them a home on the site called Wall of Love. And you click on that, it's basically a bunch of embedded tweets of all these people who said great things about that product. And every time I would have a random hater on Hacker News, someone that wrote me or whatever, I would always send them this link and say, this is what I'm building for, not these non-believers, right? And so over time, the fear never goes away. I used to be a very shy person. The fear never goes away. You just get so many incredible, talented people believe in you that you build a strong conviction that nothing can actually matter. It's like even when they shoot arrows, it feels like, I don't know, it feels like leaves, for example. I don't know. Like, no, it's not going to hurt you as much. But in the early days, I 1000% agree that for a young maker, for a new beginner, no coder, like somebody saying a random comment, negative comment, can hurt you a lot. It used to hurt me. But over time, like the positive rainfall overshadows the 7 dumb comments.
While we're speaking about the channels, and that you said you posted on Twitter on Indie Hackers and all that, there is a question from Dimitris. So he's asking which channels should you follow, or there is what hashtags you can use it, and that actually people would notice you, because if you have, I guess, 100 or 200 followers, it's quite hard to get exposure for your tweet when you're tweeting about your
I think
new product.
I noticed that challenge when I did this. I had like 200 followers, and it was so isolating. It was so hard to get to like the 500 followers, where like anything I shared, I would get some comments. Because in the early days, you don't get comments, you don't get like likes or retweets, because people are so busy, with bigger accounts, right? Like, so. So what I did was I would go to the people that I admire, like their accounts, and I would, like, if they were asking or if they were talking about a topic that's close to what I built, I would drop in and organically, not in a spammy way, organically say something meaningful, and then insert my product if it helped, right? It was a lot of trial and error, hit, miss, a lot of misses. And that's how I formed like a set of friends, and then we help each other out on Twitter. But now, to solve this exact problem, I built this site called Build in Public. You mentioned at the beginning, right? It's the content hub for Build in Public people. I created I didn't create, but like I'm leveraging the hashtag Build in Public, and that is the corner of the internet where we're rooting for each other, we're lifting each other up. They're like globally all over the world. And if anybody ships something new, we retweet it, or somebody will say like something, give feedback, So if you're someone new, I would encourage to follow hashtag Build in Public, or just follow my Twitter. I'm always, willing to look at the products people are building and like in a short, crispy way, give meaningful feedback. And a lot of the time, even like a small amount of feedback is enough. People don't need 30-minute Zoom calls. They can just say, "Oh, I'm having trouble with like one of the people that I saw saying $1, right? Like, do you like $1 for the pasta?" And the answer is yes.
I actually wanted to ask after the channels, maybe you can name a few of the tools that are your favorite, or maybe something that you can suggest for the beginners if they are just starting out.
Right. So I get the question all the time: what are some beginner-friendly tools? The number one answer I give is, if you're wanting to build something that has to be like in a mobile app format, I would say glideapps.com, because it connects to Google Sheets. It's very easy, and they have a ton of examples and templates, so you can try that. So I would say glideapps.com.
post the cheat sheet
Yeah.
on the
I was going to
section.
go there.
Yeah.
So if you're building something on web, I would say Card, CARRD.co. It's a simple landing page builder. But if you want a web app, I would say Webflow is good, Adalo is good, Bubble is good. So they're like similar. They're all equally good. And I wrote a lot of what I'm just talking about in a very beginner-friendly fashion on this, on that cheat sheet. Actually, I have a new domain for this. Can you drop in the new domain? The domain is nocodecheatsheet.com. All one word, nocodecheatsheet.com.
I just will double check. Looks good. Like this?
Yes.
Okay. So it went pretty viral, I guess.
Yeah,
if you bought the.
And actually, this is built with Nocode as well. That's the funny part. I literally built this in 25 minutes. So.
Okay. What platform did you use?
I use Notion. I use Super. Have you heard of super.so? So
no.
So Notion, you know Notion, of course. So Notion is really great, but the challenge with Notion is you cannot put a custom domain on top. Right? Like right now, I just did nocodecheatsheet.com. You cannot put a custom domain on top. And also, Notion can be a little slow when loading. There's a little bit of a loading delay, So, and then you don't get analytics. I don't know how many people saw this. I don't know how to open this bubble. With Super, super.so, that's a tool that works really well with Notion, and it helps you sort of, like put a custom domain and insert analytics and all these components. Right. It's funny because after all these years, I'm still discovering new things. So I discovered Super like a week ago, and I built it already. So it's like you're like a forever learner, a forever builder. Once you're a no-code maker, the journey is never over.
Maybe let's talk. What is the limits to use no-code tools? Because if it's so convenient and so easy, why more people are not doing that? Why we are still needing for the real guys and coders and stuff.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some practical limitations in terms of building complex systems, right? So if you're thinking about, writing software that, would like scale, and that would, like, let's say, like if you were writing software that had to literally recreate Google, right? Like a search engine, that's an algorithm, right? So writing an algorithm requires code because you have to feed it a lot of the data points so that it gets smarter and smarter over time. The same thing with YouTube algorithm, right? So, but whatever the early MVP of YouTube was, or the early MVP of Instagram or Facebook, today you can do this with no code. That was never possible before. However, so the way I put it is you can go from 0 to 1 with very simple no-code MVP. If you know a little bit of code, if you know a little bit of low code, you can go 1 to 10. But to go from 10 to 100 in the journey of being a complete software product, you need to know code. And my thesis is, by the time you go to 0 to 1, you're testing an idea already, and that's very important. Right? You need to validate, test an idea, build a storyline, get investors. Like you can go from 0 to 1 with no code, and 1 to 10, maybe you can hire or contract a part-time developer, right? And by the time you probably already raised the round, or you have like some paying customers, you're thinking about a little bit of scale. Now, after 0 to 10, which is like to me a point where no-code is not able to handle all the incoming transactions and like the number of customers you're serving, then you worry about 10 to 100% of the journey. I'm not talking customers, I'm talking percent of the journey. So.
Yeah, because at the beginning when you need to validate all the assumptions you have about your business idea or just product idea, I think there is a lot of people just stop there because they didn't have a tech guy.
Right.
Maybe they had software idea, some app idea, and they didn't build it because they didn't have a tech guy. It's really hard to find them, and if there is these kind of simple to use tools, then it's much easier.
Actually, I've noticed in this startup world, I've noticed a lot of the non-technical founders who are brilliant, who are smart, and they have a very unique experience about a domain, right? Like I know a lot of people in it, especially in Atlanta. A few years ago, I would have friends come to me, and she's a single mom, and she has a very specific problem statement that she wants to solve. She wants to help other single moms or other busy moms in Atlanta find babysitters. Now that's such a very niche idea, because she knows much more than me. I'm not a mom, right? So she has a strong experience in that domain, and she felt this pain over time, many times. And so she wants to test whether this idea will work. So she was trying to build, I think, Upwork for babysitters, maybe like Tinder for babysitters, right? For example. And at the time, she was like spent 6 months. I think she spent 4 maybe 6 months to get a technical developer, and probably she gave up from equity, or she was trying to raise money without having a prototype. With Nocode today, she can replicate the exact functionality of Upwork in 3 days, maybe like 4 days, right? Because they're not available as templates. Right now, if you go to Bubble literally has a template called Upwork for X, Tinder for X. So her real challenge is not, I think today, her real challenge is not building an MVP. It's about whether people will pay or they will use this idea. That's the hypothesis that she needs to test, right? So she wasted 4 or 5 months on other things before even getting to the hypothesis, So I always wonder how many people are quitting and giving up being founders because it's so hard to get to 0 to 1. So part of the vision with the ODNC, the On Deck Nocode program, for me, is to help out these people who want to go from 0 to 1 before they'll quit or before they give up. I have a strong feeling, and this is probably too bold, but I have a strong feeling that the next Airbnb will be born in Nocode. It will not be born in Silicon Valley waiting for a technical developer. It will be born in one of these online, fellowships or programs. It could be on Deck Nocode. I wish it is, but even if it's not, it will be born, from Latvia, from wherever. Because right now, like someone who has an interesting idea is no longer limited that he couldn't or she couldn't ship that or test it with people. So that's why I always say not only it's important to learn Nocode, it's way more important to learn build in public. Because internet is the village. Internet is the new Silicon Valley. So you have to be thoughtful and smart about how you present your idea to people on the internet, right? Because you don't need to see anybody. If your idea is on the internet, and if you know how to build in public, you will have users, you will have paid customers, and you will have investors coming to you. And these are the new skills that are needed in 2020 to 2030, the new decade of founders.
I actually wanted to ask for you where the no-code movement is going, so I guess you answered that pretty much. Do you think schools and universities will start to teach or give some kind of courses on no-code? Because I think, for example, in high school or even in elementary, right now there is some class where you can learn how to code, but maybe it's better for them to teach how to use no-code tools because it's much easier. It will be. It's always more interesting when you can see the result faster. And I think with the no-code tools, you can do that pretty fast.
Great question. I haven't thought about it, but now that you say that, it makes so much more sense. And I think I want to find ways. I'm currently super busy, but I want to find ways either mentor or at least come for a speech for brief while and actually taught this trend in that school or in that college or in university, because especially when I grew up in India, and I have a belief that right now, there's so much raw talent in India, and because they don't see the West, or they don't see like the Silicon Valley, news or whatever, I think they're probably missing out on so many opportunities that are there within Nocode. So I wonder if that is something that people like us can play a role there and evangelize the next generation. You're right. If you're a high school student, you should, even though you love coding or you're going to learn how to code, you should also learn how to know code. So
I like how you mentioned India and the raw talent that is there. I think previously somewhere in summer or maybe even earlier, Peter Diamandis said that there is around 1 billion people still without internet, and when the Elon Musk will finish his Starlink project, all these 1 billion people will go on the internet, and they will need some new tools, and they will come with their own ideas. So if you can get to them and teach them the no-code tools,
what's fascinating is you've seen this, right? You've seen this with Shopify. Shopify right now is a mega company in the public market, right? They're like 60, 70 billion. And I think they're not even like 10% of what Amazon is, right? Amazon's like in trillions. But if you just look at Shopify, because of Shopify, the whole world got better, because the whole world got so many more innovative and creative small merchants come to life. You see what I mean? So if I was selling like my phone cases, or like I was selling like bamboo iPhone phone cases, like back in the day, I had like to create my own infrastructure. I had to hire my own technical team to sell online, and I had to compete with Amazon, which was impossible to compete. So what Shopify did was armed the rebels, like in the Star Wars, perspective. Like it took the power from the empire, which is like Amazon, and then it put it back into the pockets of the small merchants, the small mom and shops, and mom and pop shops. And now we're seeing millions of digital entrepreneurs on Shopify, selling watches, selling bamboo, phone cases, or selling hats, selling whatever, jewelry. And I think it's a net positive, because I feel like, as human beings, being born in 2020 or living in this era, you should be able to chase your dream. And nobody should judge you. Nobody should get in the way, as long as it's a net positive thing for the economy, which it is. And Shopify unleashed a battalion of online merchants. And I think, and I have a gut feeling that Nocode will unleash a bigger battalion, a bigger army of entrepreneurs, much more than Code did, right? Because Code still had this academic necessity. You needed to learn how to code, which would take 6 months boot camps or 2 years computer science degrees. Nocode is very indie, very DIY. You can go on YouTube, you can go on Udemy, you can go on, Nocode cheat sheet, and you can learn something on your own, and you can build something. Somebody on the internet will use that product. It's mind blowing, and I think it'll be a new era. So
let's hope. Speaking about learning and building in public, we already mentioned previously, but maybe you can tell a bit more about the OnDeck program and what you are trying to do there, and what you have planned for the first batch that is coming up, I guess, on January.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very pleased that you remember your cohort date. It's coming up in January. So we launched this. We announced it to the world a couple of weeks ago in October, and the vision is sort of like to build an ecosystem around everything that I shared so far. Can we have a program that's dedicated to first recruit raw potential, raw talent, people with the builder mindset in the world, right? And it's a global program. So it's like, thankfully, I guess, thanks to the pandemic we're living in, it used to be an in-person, but this one actually is open to everybody, on the internet, like everybody on, with an internet connection. So can we first recruit these incredible future entrepreneurs? You don't have to be a current entrepreneur, a future entrepreneur. And if we gave them 10 weeks of uninterrupted resources, infrastructure, ideas, inspiration, content, and community, so that they thrive and they go from a 0 to a 1 idea, right? They take their ideas and turn them into real functioning products using using Nocode. And can we do this consistently over each cohort through the year? That's the goal of the program. My personal goal is, can I find the next Brian Chesky? Can I find the next Mark Zuckerberg? Can I find the next Jeff Bezos? Can I find the next Elon Musk? Because Elon Musk came from South Africa to America because, he thought that this was the technology capital of the world. And I believe, KP, I came from India to America because I thought that was the next thing. And I believe that we will have more Elon Musk and more Jeff Bezos around the world because of the digital economy. And I believe that they will take their first step in their dreams using Nocode. And my job is to catch them first and give them resources and give them, whatever they need so that they can thrive and create more amazing companies in the world. So that's the reason.
That's a great mission. We're approaching the end, so maybe the last advice or wish that you want to say for maybe those people who have an idea but they haven't started to build it, or they are shy to show it for people. So yeah, the last good luck wish from you for them. What would you say?
I would say, like the one thing that I had to learn the hard way is that I'm no different than anybody with an idea. The only difference that somebody with an idea who eventually became successful was somebody who couldn't be successful is the fact that they took action, consistent action. And for a long time, I struggled with it. I was judging myself. I was judging my strengths, my weaknesses, and it became a whole, checklist of things that I'm not good at. And then over time, I realized if I just simply took action and consistently built whatever that I wanted to build without a care for success or failure, over time, I will be successful. And it happened so many times in my life. So my one piece of advice is take consistent action on your dreams. There's nobody in the whole world, including me, who can stop you if you wake up every day and say, I'm going to do what I have in my brain, in my mind as a dream. Nobody can stop you. And back in the day, you need capital, you needed code, you needed all these unique things. Today, it's a blessed year. I think a blessed decade of 2020, because you have so many tools that are available. The internet is filled with abundance. All you need to do is go out there and go with a fresh, open mind and learn and be a student. And I feel like after 2.5 years in Nocode, I'm still a kid, a student, and I'm still loving it. I'm still building like small things and feeling so proud about it. And I wish and hope that you feel the same way about your own ideas, and you're gonna love it.
Okay, thank you. I hope that those who watched now or will watch later on the recording will now go to the Nocode cheat sheet. Will find the best tool for their idea. And as it's Friday, you have a weekend in front of you, you can use it to build something and then post it on Twitter with build in public hashtag or somewhere else and get the first feedback for your product idea. Really, thank you, KP, for joining us.
Thank you.
Tonight, I think, those who listened will find something useful in this conversation. And let's see what's next for you for the OnDeck Fellowship and for all the no-coders out there. So probably we will,
I appreciate you having me here. It's the first time speaking to people in your country, and I'm honored that you wanted to chat with me, and I'm hoping that even if 3 people in this live stream or the recording later are inspired, and then we go back and put their idea board and then take action, I would be thrilled. So please let me know if you're one of those people. You can tag me at @thisiskp_, and I'll be happy to chat with you later.
There will be at least 3 because after 45 minutes, we are meeting with some of the teams from the incubator, and they will start to build their MVPs. So,
awesome. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and see you next time. Bye.